Welcome to another PumpHouse Theatre virtual creative talk. My guest today grew up in Vienna, worked for the Tate galleries in the UK, where she met her Kiwi husband. They came back to New Zealand 4 years ago. And when she's not tango dancing or tutoring English as part of the English Language Partners organisation, she can be found actively supporting arts and cultural groups in ways to increase their strategic audience focus. She's also a member of the North Shore Theatre and Arts Trust Board, whose main role is keeping the PumpHouse Theatre going. I'm very pleased to welcome Sabine Doolin.
Hello.
Hi. So, to start us off, Sabine, can you give us an idea of what being a strategy consultant is all about?
What I do is I work with arts organizations and help them to increase their audience focus and also to think more strategically about their audiences and plan with and for them. Now, what that actually means is I mainly work in 3 areas. So I help organizations to understand their audiences better, to help them really make sense of their audience research and bring it more to life for them. I also take their insight that they can gain from the research and turn it into something that they can actually work on. So kind of articulate the intention and what they want to do. So that's what I would call a strategy.
Yeah.
And then I think it's very important to really engage staff with that. So not just have a strategy on paper, but to really bring it to life so that everybody can work together in one direction and actually get the outcomes that people want. So I call my business Insight Unlocked to kind of represent this idea, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. So your focus is to help arts organisations connect with the people around them. Is
yes,
that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So how did you get involved in the arts?
Well, initially the arts was kind of more, I did it in my leisure time. As you said, I grew up in Vienna and there's a lot of art around you. It's a little bit like in New Zealand with sports. When you grow up in Vienna, it's, it can make headline news and it's always there. So you're really surrounded by a lot of art and I always kind of enjoyed it. But work-wise, I did a business degree and I worked in the business world for a long time. And did it more, did art more as a hobby and then decided I really needed a change. About 10, 12 years ago and quit my job and did a course called Art and Business. So I was still a bit in my comfort zone of business, but there was art in it already. But then really enjoyed it and kind of thought, oh, why not go all the way? And then I did a postgraduate in art history in London with a focus on contemporary art, which London is really great for, and really enjoyed it. And then kind of tried to use that as a springboard to change into the arts professionally. And I managed to get a project with the Tate galleries. So I really enjoyed going to Tate Modern and just a great institution. And from that, they actually created a role for me and I became their first audience strategy and insight manager. Which was really fantastic because it allowed me to kind of create that role, but also bring together what I've learned in my business career together with what I've learned about the arts and kind of shape a role out of that. And Tate is just really amazing institution. So I had a great time. I stayed there for about 6 years until I moved to New Zealand.
So are there any projects that you were involved in at the Tate that we might have heard of here? I'm not a visual arts person, more performing arts, but I know things like the Turner Prize, things like that. Was that underneath your umbrella? Was you involved in?
Yeah, I was kind of. Tate has actually 4 galleries, so there's Tate Modern, Tate Britain, where the Turner Prize always is, Tate Liverpool, and Tate's Alive. So I was working across the 4, kind of just really helping the organization to think more and differently about audiences. And I think maybe people have heard about it. Tate Modern opened an extension in 2016. So there was a lot of work also involved in kind of getting ready for that and thinking about how we redefine what we call the museum of the 21st century and how that should be kind of different than before. So that was kind of a big focus. And it opened just a couple of months before I left for New Zealand. So it was really great to be involved in that.
Great stuff. So now you're sort of involved in performing arts. I mean, you've said that you enjoy tango dancing. What made you sort of get involved in in theatre?
I think theatre also, yeah, growing up in Vienna, theatre is really a lot around you. And I always used to go from when I was young, you know, I had this, what's called the youth theatre subscription. So you would go in a group to, you know, see plays in theatres in Vienna, which is really great. Our school system is a little bit different from here. So we don't have these, you know, extracurricular activities where you have, you know, youth theatre and so on, unfortunately. But I saw it, you know, I just enjoyed it as, you know, being in the audience. And it's, you know, I love the visual arts, but I also enjoy the performing arts. I really love contemporary dance. So again, it's kind of coming out of a personal interest and just an enjoyment with it.
Yeah. So what's your most favourite performance that you've ever seen? What have you enjoyed the most?
Oh, I'm a big fan, together with my husband, of the Pina Bausch Dance Theatre. It's a German dance company. They call themselves Tanztheater, Dance Theatre, which was quite revolutionary in the 70s and 80s until now. They are really amazing. I love their performances. There's especially one I've seen a couple of times called Full Moon, which is fantastic. And through a friend of my husband's, we managed to get to know some of the dancers. So that's always quite special then when you see the performance and you actually also know the people, because they're such unusual and unique people. And even now in lockdown, we've got there's a DVD, there was a film made about the dance group called Pina, so we sometimes watch it if we miss them too much.
Oh, so what kind of dances is it? Contemporary? Is it classical?
Contemporary dance, yeah, quite expressive contemporary dance.
Right.
Yeah, I really love that.
Could you entice them out to New Zealand, do you think? We know
they
actually
have been at the Wellington Arts Festival just before we arrived in New Zealand, unfortunately, so we missed them here. And they do tour internationally, so yeah, I don't know whether they have it, you know, in their plans to come back. We'll see. But they have actually performed in Wellington.
You can tell them, you know, of a little theatre that they'd be able to perform at.
Yeah. Would that be good?
Yeah. So talking about the PumpHouse, you're involved on the board of trustees. What kind of things do you do with that? What does that mean, being a trustee?
Being a trustee is we have kind of an oversight role in a way, which means we're supposed to provide kind of more the helicopter view of, you know, the organization, rather than really getting involved in the details of running, which you and the team there really do the day-to-day work. But kind of we are here to have a bit of a, you know, look from higher above and kind of seeing what's happening outside, and just also, you know, kind of being responsible on making sure that it's, you know, it's run well, which it is, and that it's financially well supported, and also that we, you know, bring our networks and connections in wherever that can be helpful.
Yeah. So
it's things like that. So we meet I think now we meet every 2 months, about 8 or 9 of us, to kind of review where the PumpHouse is at. At the moment, we get, you know, updates more often because of this unusual situation in the lockdown, obviously, because that has a big impact. But yeah, it's our role also kind of to be supportive there and make sure that the PumpHouse survives this challenging time.
So yes, it's a very special place and it's very dear to a lot of people's hearts. So do you have a favourite memory of the PumpHouse?
Well, I have not been in New Zealand for so long. I've only seen a couple of pieces there, but my favorite, or the one I really enjoyed, was called My Name is Rachel Corrie, which was a play in the coal bunker, which is quite a special place because it's kind of more intimate setting. I was really impressed by the actors. It was a one-woman play. She played for, I think, a good hour or so. Which is quite a challenge, I think. And it's also an interesting story. It's based on the diary of a young woman, an American political activist who was only in her 20s and eventually, sadly, died in a protest in Palestine. And it was her diary notes. And I found it very touching to think about, you know, what people sacrifice for helping others is quite amazing. And, you know, seeing that in the setting of the coal bunker, performed, the diary is quite an intimate thing, so that really touched me.
Yeah, and the coal bunker is a special performance space. I like doing things there as well. Yeah, so it's good to know that the audience likes it as well. That's
yes,
good.
especially atmosphere.
Yeah. So when you're not strategically leading people around and helping people plan for the future, what kind of things do you do outside of that? Is there something that not many people know about Sabine that you're willing to share with us?
Well, you said it before, I like tango dancing. So that's, kind of a hobby I've been doing with my husband for a number of years now, and doing it here. So sadly, at the moment, there's a bit of a, break on it because physical distancing and tango dancing doesn't really work. So we'll see how we can carry on. So at the moment, we're just, listening to music and, kind of trying to stay in that way. Actually, our former teachers in London, they do online classes, which are, it doesn't quite work with the time difference, but, we can dip in and out of things that they record. So it's quite nice too.
So is it Argentinian tango that you do?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because
so it's not a performance tango, it's really social dancing.
Yes,
so we don't perform, so it's really, you just get together, social dancing. There's a nice tango community in Auckland.
Yes.
So there's something going on, and it's quite an enjoyable thing. You can also do it in any city around the world, which is amazing. There's small tango communities everywhere.
Yeah,
you find them, and it's quite a nice way kind of to connect. It was also a nice way for us to connect coming to New Zealand, just to get involved in the tango community.
Yeah, because it's the Argentinian tango. It tells stories, doesn't it? I mean, I'm not a dancer, but I've seen it. I've seen it on things like Strictly Come Dancing, and they tell a story with the whole dance movement and everything.
Yes, and I think Strictly Come Dancing is a bit more ballroom. What we do is more improvised Argentinian tango.
Right.
The music that comes from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s is always very heart rendering stories that they sing, and it's quite a strong music. I find emotionally quite strong.
Yeah.
And it's an improvised dance, so you don't have set steps. There are kind of certain basic rules to it, but you have, the leader has to lead something that fits the music, and as the follower, you kind of have to figure that out, what that is, and go with it and make your own little interpretations of that.
Wow. I didn't realize there was that. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, well, give it a try, maybe.
Perhaps we'll get you to do a demonstration when things will calm down.
Really, I do love the arts, but I'm not a performer. I'm watching others perform.
So how have you been coping with the lockdown? You said you've been looking at your DVDs and you've been listening to music. Is there any other things that you've been doing to help while the time away?
I think personally, I'm quite impressed by all the art that is out there online. I'm even a bit overwhelmed by all the things that are out there. But I've been watching kind of, a couple of things that were streamed, or watching films and so on. And also I quite enjoy, liking the visual arts, I quite enjoy this. The Getty Museum started is this people are reenacting famous paintings.
Yes.
That really put a smile on my face. It's done by many museums now, and I find it's quite a nice mix of performing and visual arts and people getting involved, and not just, looking at the painting, but kind of really trying to restage it in serious or funny ways. I quite enjoyed that. Otherwise, I do enjoy yoga also, and my yoga studio does online classes, which is quite nice. So I'm just trying, to carry on with things that, normally do, but it's also kind of a nice time to reflect a little bit and tidy up. I think all our cupboards have become very tidy here in the house. And work-wise, it's a bit difficult because it's I work with the cultural sector, and a lot of it is closed right now. So a lot of my projects have gone very quiet, but it's great. We're in New Zealand, and it looks like we're getting on top of this virus as much as we can. So I'm quite optimistic that things, will resume. And again, it gives a chance to do a little bit of work behind the scenes of your business, and take stock and think about where you want to go, and tidy up the accounting and all things like that.
So because you've got an audience focus, is there anything that you could suggest or you've thought of that might be useful for arts groups to put into place for when the lockdown's lifted? Because getting people back into big groups is going to be a difficult thing, and then that's very understandable. Do you have any words of wisdom for arts organisations that might help them on that journey?
I mean, I think, based on what I would say, obviously, is focus on your audience. So kind of really think about who is your community, who is it that you want to focus on, who is actually engaging with you right now, who is maybe not asking for a refund for a cancelled show, or who is engaging with your social media and so on, because these are the people that are really loyal to you. So how can you then kind of thank them and keep engaging them as you reopen? But I think you might also have found that new people are engaging. Sort of some things are online and in different media. So there might be people that have never been to the PumpHouse or have never been to, whatever the arts organization is. So maybe start to think about what would be something to actually get them to the place. Yeah. If they're local enough, what could be a nice trial or a nice teaser kind of, to get them from online to offline. And oftentimes, people often say, but how do I know? It's maybe taking the time also to listen to audiences, to see what are they writing, what are they thinking about. There's a lot out there also, and what do people really need in this time. And I always kind of think a little bit about, there's Maslow's pyramid of needs.
Yes.
And with the arts, we are very often quite at the top with, self-actualization and so on. Yeah. I think in a crisis like this, we also very fast go back to the bottom of, I need safety, I need reassurance. So what are the reassurances that we might have to give people so that they feel comfortable coming back? That's all about physical distancing and cleanliness and things like that. But, what else might there be there? What information do we have to put out on our visit pages on the website? Or what do we have to, how can we proactively make people feel good about coming and safe about coming? Something to think about. And obviously also the inspiration, but also kind of the basic needs, I would say. And lastly, I would say we just all need to stick to our guns, which means stay true to what our purpose is.
Yes.
And really, use that as we take decisions or think about activities and so on. What is really the purpose why we're here for as an organization? And just kind of stick to that. And oftentimes it doesn't even talk about a building or anything, it just talks about, the purpose of what we're trying to achieve. And that's always a good North Star to kind of keep in mind.
Yeah, very sound advice. Very sound advice there. Well, thank you very much for giving up some of your time to talk to us today and for our creative talk. And it's really nice to have someone who's got a different view on the arts, because I talk to a lot of performers, but it's quite nice to have somebody who has that helicopter view.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. So thank you very much, Sabine, and hopefully we'll be seeing you down at the PumpHouse building very soon.
Yes, that would be nice. Thanks very much for inviting me.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.